Yo, what's up guys, Ghost here, welcome back to another video here on Stormgate Central. So the other day, Frostgiant showed off this video using generative AI for one of their mission briefings. So this was at the GDC conference just last week. This is potentially something that they might consider adding to Stormgate, so I just wanted to have a little chat with you guys about what you think about this, the good sides, the bad sides, and whether you think it should come to the game overall. So what they've got here is a mission briefing. You've got a character on screen that you're speaking to, but instead of the normal dialogue options, somebody's speaking into the microphone and actually talking to the character, the character's then feeding them back dialogue based on this generative AI.
What type of artifact did you discover?
It's an old alien-looking sword with some kind of inscriptions on the hilt.
An ancient sword with inscriptions? That's an intriguing find.
I will leave the whole video down below if you guys want to watch it without me waffling over the top of it, but that's pretty much the long and short of what it is. So obviously this has the potential, I think, to be something really cool where you can potentially ask the AI about anything really, and they can reply to you instead of having these set dialogue options and only be able to ask about specific things. Obviously we've seen AI creeping into pretty much everything these days, both in terms of business and entertainment now, and video games there are certainly no exception. So I think there are some obvious good sides, some positive sides to this. It might make you feel more immersed in the world and feel as though you're sort of living that character for a really authentic role-playing experience. I think that could be really, really cool. But I do believe there are a lot of negatives, at least for me, for this as well. And I really want to hear what you guys think about it. So, first of all, the example here that they've given, it really doesn't sound too great. It's pretty stilted, it's a bit uncanny, it's just not a believable performance, and I'm aware that AI vary greatly between what kind of AI you're using, and I'm sure that they can find something better. And this was just a test for GDC, but this initial presentation doesn't exactly sell me on the authenticity of this AI dialogue. However, there have been other games that have used AI for their dialogue quite successfully. There is another game called The Finals that you guys may or may not be familiar with. It's a first-person shooter, and it's basically a game show. So it's in this virtual world, and when you're playing in this virtual world, one team against another, you have these commentators narrating the game that is going on. So they're saying things like, wow, the blue team did a really great job there. That was probably like a terrible line by me, but I later learned that those narrated lines were actually made by AI. Now, it's not generative AI, you're not feeding the AI something and then it's spewing something out back at you. These are just canned responses depending on what's happening in the game, but I have to say, they were that authentic and that believable that I had no idea that those were AI voice lines until I heard the controversy after the game released. But now when I play the game and I listen to the voice lines, because I've been told and I know that they're AI, I can't help but listen to them. And it's kind of like one of those things, like once you've been told about it, you can hear it, if you know what I mean. So I think that definitely could rub some people the wrong way. I'm also not sure that everybody would feel comfortable with using a microphone and sitting in front of their computers, playing a single-player narrative-driven experience, and having to talk to the characters. I know many of us just want to sit in front of our computers, take a load off, and enjoy the narrative experience. We want that experience to pull us in, and not for us to have to give it some of our creative input. We want to just be able to select those dialogue options. And perhaps this is just me, but ever since phones came along, you know, where you can ask Siri or you can ask Alexa, I always feel a bit weird using those features in public. If I'm at home by myself, that's okay, but I'm not necessarily sure I'd want to sit here on my computer sort of talking to some AI computer character when I had my family around me or my friends around me, for example. Again, perhaps that's just me. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that. Maybe that's just something in myself that I need to get over, but I can definitely see that affecting some people. And then I definitely think another thing to keep in mind is with an AI experience, basically what they're doing is they're feeding the AI information about the world, about the mission, so that it can feed you these responses. But it's not the same as having a real-life actor giving that actor the information about the world, the information on the character, the information on the mission, and all of that stuff, but then allowing them to draw on their own experiences as an actor or an actress and previous projects that they've worked on to imagine that world themselves and maybe bring something to that project that you didn't anticipate. That's often where some of the best performances in film, games, television, or anywhere else come from. And then, of course, there are moral implications here. This is I don't think there's any way around it. It's probably going to put people out of jobs, you know. People are going to have to lend their voices to AI, and I think this maybe is something that there isn't any stopping it. Like, I can definitely see generative AI being used for game narration like this in 20, 30 years and it being the norm. But right now, I just don't think it's quite convincing enough for us to accept it. But in the future, we may just find that game developers decide to put it in their games without asking questions. It'll be that convincing that we won't even know the difference. Now, most of the feedback that I've seen on this so far has been pretty much similar to my own sentiments here, a little bit more on the negative side, but just to make it clear, this is not to say that Frost Giant are like 100% going to put this in the game. This is just a test, just something they're messing around with here. And I want to make this clear that Gerald, the communications director, he does say here on Reddit, just in case it wasn't clear, we're not committed to doing this, it's just an experiment. The work in putting this demo together came from Combine, which is another company. It's not their devs, so they didn't spend any money on it or deplete dev resources in its creation. And they want to hear basically from the players as to whether this tech looks interesting to see if it might be worth pursuing or not. And they want to share ideas like this with us, even when they may never see the light of day, which I do appreciate. A lot of developers will probably just keep these things a secret, and then they would make the decision themselves, are we going to put this in the game or not? But in this situation, Frost Giant are being extremely transparent with us, often to the detriment of their own team, because they are getting a lot of negative criticism for certain things, so I really do appreciate them doing that. And they also do mention here that they are still, you know, firm believers in the power of human storytelling created by human writers and voice actors, and that they would only consider doing this if it doesn't suck and if it's blessed by their voice actors union. I really have to say, in conclusion here, it's really, really hard to beat some well-written dialogue with a number of great responses. Take The Witcher 3, for example, absolutely fantastic single-player RPG, definitely hard to top, and it is in large part because of the fantastic writing and the great acting. Anyway, just thought I'd run this by you guys. I would love to hear your thoughts on it down below in the comments. If you did enjoy the video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, guys. There will be lots of Stormgate content coming on the channel. I know it's a bit of a low period in terms of content at the moment. There's not really that much happening with the game, and we are going to have to wait around a month or so until the next alpha phase comes back. But rest assured, believe me, there will be lots of content. Oh yeah, also, if you guys missed yesterday's video, go and check that one out. That is all about the map editor, the first look at that was also shown off at the GDC conference. But otherwise, guys, as always, take care, and I'll see you all in the next video.